this morning?
Let me tell you, it's not about the compensation. Whether it was a secret memo or it was an open memo or it's coming from the Igbo leaders of thought or the Ohaneze demanding that kind of repatriation, compensation. Well, for them, they are able to look at it very well and say it is worth over 10 trillion compensation. But the fact is, if they are going to look in that way, which I see, for me, it is not a priority for now. The issue of federal government looking for 10 trillion to compensate over the death of over 6 million Igbos does not, for me, matter at this point in time. Because even if they like, let them set the record straight. But if they like, let them not set the record straight. But the fact still remains that it was not only IBB that made such revelations before now. But it happened that this one is just coming from a former military head of state who most people perceived to have been able to understand what transpired from their own line of reference or understanding. That is the whole thing. That's why people are talking about how come that IBB came up with such revelation at this point in time. I can tell you that IBB has already declared Biafra as a sovereign nation by the virtue of that statement, and the whole world must acknowledge that. The acknowledgement of it is the truth that was supposedly unveiled to the detriment of the Fulani and of course the media aspect of the Southwest that connived with the BBC as at that time to tag it an Igbo coup. Who is going to compensate the Igbo? Is it the people from the Niger Delta, the so-called Serewiwa and the rest of them, Adaka Boro, all those kind of people who stood against the Igbo interest, who tagged and wanted to destroy the Igbo identity in Nigeria? Unfortunately, the Igbo people were innocent. On that process of innocency, their innocency, they were able to lose over 6 million people in that war. 100 trillion, whatever they call it, does not matter at this point. What matters is the recognition of Biafra with all its territorial integrity is returned, installed, brought back, given to them, hand over to them. And let us see Gowon go to jail, to prison. Gowon must go to prison at this point in time. Go to prison? Yes. The international community, the ICC, the Igbos are going to see it is not a joke. We are calling on the international community, the ICC, the ECOWAS, the AU, the European Union, the American government under Donald Trump, the Asia, the Japanese, to come to the rescue of the consequences that cost Igbos on the line of suppression and oppression for over 60 years now. The international community must seek to arrest Yakubu Gowon immediately without any reservation. We therefore call for the arrest of Yakubu Gowon immediately, because Yakubu Gowon was the one that liaised with enemies of the sovereignty as at that time and begin to kill the Igbo people. To an extent, the Igbo nation lost over 6 million. And they thought that one day the truth will not come out. Whatever that has pushed the IBB to reveal that will also make the whole world to go for the arrest of Gowon. Gowon must be arrested. Middle Belt belongs to Biafra. That is the truth. Niger Delta, all those areas belongs to Biafra. Gowon must be questioned why he was not able to make the Aburi agreement public up to this very moment. Why is Gowon hiding from one region to another? Today here is in the Clark house. Tomorrow here is in one house in the other side of the world. Tomorrow here is in Abuja, hiding from one corner to another. That is not going to help Yakubu Gowon for the damage he has done. You are right. Yakubu Gowon has left Nigeria. It's like he's now living in the UK. How we heard. But we saw him during the book launch. You know, unfortunately, as I gathered, he was not allowed to have a preview of that book. If you had the preview of that book, that he would have been indicted, he would have run away. Nobody would have seen him. You can see the damage he was able to carry out, even against his own people. The Igbos that were killed in the Middle Belt, there are more than 1 million. The Igbos that were killed in the North, there are over 2 million. The Igbos that were killed almost everywhere. Why is it that IDB now decided to unveil the truth at this point in time? And they knew very well the role that the military play always. When IDB carried their own queue, it was not taxed at Igbo queue. When Abata did their own, it was not taxed at Igbo. But why is it that, you see, this thing has been there over and over and over and over the time, and the Yorubas contributed. Even when Awolowo knew that this thing was not a Igbo queue, he kept quiet. Awolowo knew, and the Yoruba media knew that this was pure conspiracy against the Igbo people. He kept quiet. Now, are you expecting the Igbos now to go and wake over 6 million Igbos that were murdered in that war? That is an unacceptable fact that the world must call and demand the immediate arrest and persecution of Yakubu Gowon and those who liars. But if not that, I have some respect for the Southwesterners. I would have called for the arrest of Awolowo immediately, because how can you be an elder statesman? There's no controversy, there's nothing anywhere. You know what, where this thing was, they tell us, even when they were fighting the war, you engineered that the entire East Coast should be blocked and that the Igbos should be starved of food. You are the one that brought the idea. You saw the idea to Fulanis. The Fulanis look at it that the blockade of Bakassi Peninsula and the rest of them, of that Aziz, will lead to massive starvation of the Igbo people during the war. You never came out and told the world that what Gowon was doing was against what actually transpired. That the coup was not an Igbo coup. I want to keep quiet. He never said anything. So, what has the Igbo man done to the Yorubas and the Northerners that have cost 6 million lives, and you are talking about 10 trillion? Bullshit. But everybody was involved in the killing of 6 million Igbo. That 10 trillion. But let me tell you, the time has come. I thank God, the international community, the EU, the Asian continent, of course, some part of the Sahel. I'm not talking about this useless AU that is under demonic Tinubu, who stood there. And all of them know that it was not an Igbo coup. Still, the conspiracy of Igbo against Igbo is still going on in this country. The only thing that is left for the world to decide, because this thing is generating taking an international dimension at this point in time. The international community, EU, they are already documenting it and they're making references and possibly leading to the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You can see what Agbo Abdullahi was just saying this morning, that the fact that he was surprised that this thing actually happened, because a lot of people are not privileged to have such exclusive, confidential interview, report of what actually transpired in 1966. But I can tell you, the whole world is stepping into you. The whole world is amazed. But what we are getting currently now, this morning, the news that developed this morning, we had it on a good note that Simon Ekpa has already engaged the Finnish government on the development so far. In fact, not only that, the Finnish government has called for set up a committee to look at it, and they have shut down the Nigerian Commission in that country as a result of the IBB's revelation. All the lies that were made against the Igbos, you can see where it has turned. But still, in the midst of crisis and storm, the Igbo man stood tall. Imagine what would have become of the situation now in the country, how Nigeria would have looked like if Yakubu Gowon have respected the Akara-Aburi Ghana agreements. And up to today, Gowon has not made it publicly and publish what transpired in Aburi. The woman will not take this rubbish from anybody. We are advocating for the first Jewish black nation in the world on the basis of justice, on the basis of humanity, on the basis of fairness, on the basis of rights, not privilege. We are advocating for our identity, and that identity is Biafra. No stopping, of that
yes.
Biafra restoration and recognition.
In 1 minute you are closing. Do you ever think that people like Yakubu Gowon will ever be arrested?
Yes, in Nigeria. I'm telling you, they don't know what is going on at the international scene at this point in time. The justice delayed cannot be at this point. This is genocide. The matter has to be revisited. There's going to be an independent inquiry, investigation under the ICC. We saw what Mazin Namdekano, Simon and the rest of them are doing. We saw the different coloration. We saw the killing. And the world is asking, how come that IDB was able to make that revelation? How come Yakubu Gowon, who was at the center of the whole thing, could not be able to put up or stop the killing of the Igbos in the north, and allow it to continue until Ojukwu become tired and said, no, it can no longer happen. Even at that you are not even qualified to be head of state at that particular time. The only person that was qualified to be head of state, who happens to be Babafemi Ogundibe, we don't know his whereabouts. Maybe he would have been in a position to stabilize the system as at that time. But unfortunately, the British Broadcasting Organization, BBC, leveraged on the sentiment against the Igbos, and was able to make Yakubu Gowon the head of state. And I think that is what flared up his ego and pride, that he lost his sense of humanity. And today, 10 trillion cannot cover for the genuine. See, the African brain, the best technology, the best humanity, the best resources, the best innovation, hypersonic brain of Igbo extraction was buried in that war that has brought Africa backward. The first supersonic atomic bomb was built by an Igbo man without a white man's input. So many innovations, technologically, science, without a white man's input was carried out by an Igbo man. I are talking about 10 trillion. Unfortunately, what you see is happening there today is the same thing that happened in Gaza. Nobody knew that one day will come, the Jewish nation, the only Jewish nation we have in the world, stood their ground. And today, Hamas is on the run. A day will come when the first black nation, Jewish nation, will arise, and Nigeria will become something of the past. Nigeria will collapse. Nigeria will become automatically insignificant. Nigeria will happen to Nigeria and Yakubu Gowon. And all the people that got themselves involved in the lies against extermination of the Jewish black race in Africa. That is it. And that is what it is.